why do we need PowerGP Banking? Well, first off, reconciliations are hard and time-consuming, and frankly, they're boring. And in today's world, we shouldn't have to do a process that requires us to use a red pen and a piece of paper. But also, we've had several out-of-the-box and ISV products try to solve this problem. Most of them have tried to solve it, though, from the standpoint of downloading some sort of a file from the bank. Sometimes this can be a very complex process where you have to get complex file format documents from the bank in order to map their reconciliation formats into Dynamics GP. It's really complicated and time-consuming, and sometimes it changes, and it just hasn't been a good solution to this problem. But we hear this a lot too from our QuickBooks customers that, hey, I could do this. I could bring transactions down from my bank in QuickBooks, and I paid a couple $100 for that. Why can't I do that with a mid-market ERP system that I spent a lot more money on? And we totally agree. That's a big part of why we created PowerGP Banking, because we believe fundamentally there has to be an easier way. So what can PowerGP Banking do? Well, it's divided into two parts. We have PowerGP Banking for bank accounts and for credit cards. So for bank accounts, what we're doing is we're letting you connect to around 10,000 financial institutions, easily download your bank transactions with just a couple of clicks, automatically match transactions based on check numbers and amounts and dates. So you don't even have to do a lot of the work anymore in the reconciliations. We're going to do it for you. And if there's some transactions in the bank that don't exist yet in PowerGP, you can quickly push those new transactions into PowerGP right from PowerGP Banking. And I think you'll find once you start using it that this is one of the easiest, simplest, most delightful ways to reconcile your checkbook that you've ever seen. Personally, I just absolutely love it. Now, if you are working with the credit card side of PowerGP Banking, credit cards, again, connects to around that same 10,000 financial institutions. With a couple of clicks, you can easily download your credit card transactions. We've created a really streamlined UI that lets you quickly get those transactions on the credit cards coded to GL accounts, and then we create AP vouchers for them. Well, enough of the slides. Let's switch over and take a look at how PowerGP Online Banking works. Okay, so here we are inside of Dynamics GP. I'm going to come over to this PowerGP area page, and under PowerGP Banking and Setup, I'm going to choose Financial Institution Setup. Now, this is really the only setup that we have to do inside of PowerGP Banking. This is where we're going to connect your financial institutions and the accounts you have with them to your checkbooks and vendors in Dynamics GP. So to do that, I'm going to click Add Institution. This is going to take me into where I can search on the, up to around 10,000 different banks. I'm going to search for mine. I will put in my username and password and hit Submit. And now what it's going to do, my bank uses multi-factor authentication, so it is going to ask me how I would like to receive that. Do I want to receive it in my text as a text message or in my email? I'm going to choose text. Now, while we're going through this process, I want to make sure I point out that we are not storing any of your usernames and passwords in our systems. As we communicate with the bank in this first exchange, we receive a token, and we store that secure token in our systems. So we're not keeping any usernames or passwords or anything like that. All right, I'm going to put in the code and hit Submit. All right. We have now successfully linked my bank. So now I'm gonna map the accounts. So it brings over all the accounts that I have at BBVA. And if I wanted to, I could connect all of them right now. But I'm just going to do the one. I'm going to do my operating account. And this is a list of the checkbooks that I have inside of GP. So I'm going to pick my operating checkbook. I could give it a nickname if I wish, but for now I'm just going to save it this way. And then again, I could go through and do the next account if I wanted to. So, but that's it. Let's go get some transactions for this account. So the next thing we're going to do is come over to Import Transactions. This is where we actually download the transactions from your institution. I'm going to choose BBVA, and we keep track of the last time we did an import. So you could just, every time you come in, you could just download transactions since the last time. I'm going to do mine with a set date range and hit Retrieve Transactions. Next, I'm going to select which of my accounts I want to be looking at transactions for. So here we go. Here are all my transactions from my bank account. I'm going to just mark all and hit import. And just like that, I have imported my transactions from the bank. Now, we haven't imported these into GP. We've brought these into a PowerGP Banking table, where we're now going to compare them to the data that's in the Dynamics GP tables. So I've come into my transaction matching window. I'm going to choose my checkbook, and I'm going to enter a statement date. At this point, we're actually creating a bank rec header inside of GP, because everything that we match here, we're going to mark as cleared in your bank rec. And that's the part that makes your bank rec so much easier. Now, I could come down here and look at the transactions. On the left, I have transactions from the bank, and on the right, I have transactions from PowerGP Online. And I could match these up. Like, oh, it's 435. I could just do a manual match here, but I'm not going to do that, because the real power of PowerGP Banking is our auto matching technology. So I'm going to click the auto match button. Now, what this does is it connects the dots automatically between these transactions. So if there's a check number, for example, it's super simple. We match up on check number. If there's not a check number, we'll look at the dollar amount and the date. And you'll notice the dates don't have to match exactly, because they almost never do. So we've built in technology to not require the dates to match exactly. So I'm going to hit this Match Transactions button and then hit Close. Now down below I can see things that have been marked as matched. I'm going to uncheck this Show Matched button and hit Filter. So now this lets me see how much work I have left to do, how many transactions are left that didn't get matched. In this case, everything that was in GP has been matched. And I've got one transaction over on the bank that hasn't been. This is my monthly analysis fee. So I'm going to just go ahead and mark this and choose Import into PowerGP. Now this brings up the window where I can code this. I'll put it in, let's put it in as a decrease adjustment. And I'm going to code it to bank transactions, fees, and hit Import. And just like that, this transaction is being created inside of GP as a bank transaction. All right, there we go. Let's flip over into GP and see what's happening there. I'm going to come over to the financial area page and go to our reconciliation window. All right, so here's my operating account and with the dates that I entered in PowerGP Banking. And when I push the transactions button, what you're going to notice is this window opens with everything marked. That's because we did all the matching over in PowerGP Banking. In fact, here's the transaction that we imported. If I drill down and open it up, you'll see that's my July service charge. You can see where we coded it to. It just comes over real nice and easy. Now, you might ask, well, gosh, what would happen if you unmark something here in GP? Well, let's give that a shot. Let's unmark this $1,700 check. We'll come back over to PowerGP Banking and redo our filter, and there you can see unmarking it in GP also unmarks it in PowerGP Banking. Let's go ahead and remap these guys together, and there, we should be ready now to reconcile our checkbook. So that's pretty easy, right? Well, let's take a look at how it works with credit cards. So let's go back. We'll go back over to the PowerGP area page. And the first step with credit cards is importing the transaction. So again, I'm going to come into the same import screen, only this time I'm going to choose American Express. Also remembers the last date of import here, but again, I'm going to use a range. And I'm going to say retrieve transactions. Now this goes and gets all the transactions that I have with American Express. If one of these transactions, remember I said we do import those credit transactions, if one of these transactions is last month's payment, you can just hit this exclude button right here, and we'll move it to our excluded list where you'll be able to see it, but it won't show up on any of the import screens, so it won't get in the way anymore. We'll also have an opportunity to do that on the credit card import window as well. But I don't have any of those sorts of transactions, so I'm just going to hit this Mark All button and choose Import. The next step with credit cards is to come over to Import Credit Card Vouchers. And I'm going to put in the start and end dates of my credit card statement. And hit submit. And now I get a list of all the transactions that I just imported. This is, again, if I want to get rid of, if one of these is a payment, I can just hit this little red X and it'll go away forever. But I'm going to go ahead and import all of these, so I'm going to check mark that box. And yeah, also if I wanted to, I could change the descriptions here if I wanted to make them more clear. GitHub, that sounds like subscription software. And Microsoft, that sounds like tech expense. You can see how quick and easy it is to find and enter these GL accounts. We tried to just make this as simple and streamlined a process as possible. All right, so I've coded everything. I have a date for my transaction. I have a batch number. Let's go ahead and import this into PowerGP. All right, perfect. So now we've created that voucher. Let's come over to the purchasing area page and open up AP transaction entry window. And here is my transaction. You'll notice, by the way, that we have made some recent changes to our vendor activity pane, where now you can actually see more transactions than just the 3 I think that we made available before. But just a really cool way to have more context about what's going on with your vendor when you're right here in the middle of entry. But let's get our distributions window open. This is where we can see all the coding that we just did. If I expand my grid a little bit, you can see all of the descriptions that came in from my credit card. Easy, easy, easy. Didn't have to download a file. Didn't have to open an XML file and do searches through it. Just a couple of clicks, and we were able to download code and create an AP voucher for our credit cards. Isn't that cool? All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that demonstration of PowerGP Banking. This is one of the reasons why we like to say that PowerGP Online is the right path to the cloud for Dynamics GP customers. You don't just get really cool things like PowerGP Banking, but if you're a Dynamics GP customer and someone is trying to convince you that you have to move to another ERP system if you want to go to the cloud, I want to assure you right now that that is just not the case. With PowerGP Online, you get an authentic, modern cloud experience for Dynamics GP. And there's no expensive, no time-consuming implementation project. And we're going to get you to the cloud in days, not months. And in the process, you get to bring all your data, all your ISV solutions, all your business functionality, and all your business processes and reports and integrations, all these things that you've hardwired between your business and your ERP system over the last many years that you've been using GP. Plus, on top of that, you get the familiarity of the desktop client that you're accustomed to with Dynamics GP. We also provide web client. You get both client experiences free of charge, so you actually get to choose which one you and your team are going to be able to be using. We provide you with database access, so if you're writing reports, you have the ability to get to your database. We support all of the Dynamics GP ISVs, and we've even created our own cloud API called PowerGP Connect that makes it really easy to connect to other cloud applications. Like if you want to connect to Power BI, for example, and you don't want to use that gateway, PowerGP Connect makes it super simple to connect to Power BI or Power Automate. It's just really easy. Or you connect to applications like Expensify or Bill.com. And because we've built our entire system on top of Azure Active Directory, you also get the convenience of self-service password reset, and you get multi-factor authentication available as an add-on if you'd like to level up your security posture. So PowerGP is familiar, flexible, secure, but it's also unique. Just like you saw with PowerGP Banking, we're not just hosting Dynamics GP in the cloud. We are extending Dynamics GP in the cloud. So you get the GP that you know and love, but you also get really cool apps like PowerGP Banking. You get PowerGP Import, which is a really simple, powerful import tool embedded right inside of the screens inside of Dynamics GP where you want to import your data. And we've taken all of the mapping and all of that stuff out of it. You'll never have to do another map again. Just put your data in a spreadsheet, make sure that it has the column names that PowerGP import is looking for. They don't even have to be in the same order, and it's just really easy to get that data into GP. PowerGP Connect is our RESTful API I was talking about earlier that let you connect to Power BI and Expensify and things like that. You can also create live refreshable Excel reports using PowerGP Connect, which is pretty cool. Most of you listening are probably going to be coming into PowerGP on the Bring Your Own License program. That's where you already own the GP license. You don't want to pay for it again on a subscription plan. That's our BYOL. We offer that. You get all of the cool stuff that we've developed for PowerGP Online as part of that. If you come into one of our subscription programs, in our subscription programs, we've also bundled subscriptions for some of the GP ISVs that we know really enhance customer experiences, like, for example, Rockton's SmartFill or Notice's credit card processing system. So, for the first time ever, everybody who is using GP in our cloud has the ability to use credit card processing just out of the box. It's really, really cool. And if you're coming in on subscription, you'll have a GPUG membership embedded in your subscription as well. So many really cool things that we're doing. I hope that you can agree as you see how we are moving GP forward, that we're really living our mission, which is to improve the life and success of our partners and customers by providing exceptional business application experiences that simplify, inform, and delight. I want to thank you so much for joining us today for this introduction to PowerGP Banking. If you have any questions, please contact us at sales@powergponline.com. If you're ready to get started, we'd love to be a part of your journey to the cloud, and we have a team standing by to help make that happen. Thanks again, and have a great day.